What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another fixes video. For those of you who've never seen my face, how's it going? I'm T2RX6, and if you're like me, you probably picked up this guy who's pretty awesome and hefty, but he has this problem that things are just, you know, in terms of the knees, there's really not much we can do with these lower panels, but like your knees are just really floppy and he's just kind of a mess in terms of how he works. So I've taken this guy apart and I've got some pretty good ideas on how we can fix him. So hopefully we can get him fixed, and it's going to cost you about $5 or so to get him fixed. So let's actually get into him. Alright guys, so to do this we're going to need some very basic tools. You're going to need some precision screwdrivers. One of mine here just kind of is stripped out so the other one works better. And a regular Phillips head screwdriver. And that's going to be all we need to disassemble Metroplex. From the various stores, I picked up this flat washer kit. All they are is a bunch of little rubber washers. And these are going to be used for the knees. We're going to also need a Dremel here. And we're probably going to have to make these holes a little bigger so we can get it to fit. And we might have to reduce the outer diameter of the washer to make it fit. And you'll see once we get this open, we'll figure that out. For the larger hips going in and out here, you're going to need like these hose washers or these 1x13 and 13/32 by 1/16 nylon washers. These are like 97 cents for a pack of 4 of them from Lowe's. Again, we're going to have to probably Dremel the inner diameter and probably a little bit of the outer diameter to get it to fit in. These ones, I know at least the inner diameter will fit. I'm not sure about the outer diameter, but they're also way thicker. And we'll get into why you want to make sure you have the right size when we get there. So, in order to undo this, you're going to undo the top part of the thigh first, which is held in by 3 Phillips head screws. And then we're going to do the bottom. You got the 2 precisions and the regular one here. And I'm not going to subject you to that. We'll just take a look at it when it's open. Alright, so when we open it up, it's going to look something like this. And you're going to see on the top thigh piece, we're going to have this gray piece. It just basically fits right in on the square pegs here and holds itself in place. And then you're going to have the counter pieces here. And if you're not familiar with how these joints work, so essentially what happens is they get held together like this. And you've got the spring from compression here pushing them together. And as you're rotating Metroplex's leg, this gray piece is basically pushing as you're turning the teeth with a downward force on the orange piece to make it actually compress the spring more, which allows the teeth to slip as you get a certain distance away. So what we really need to do is get something inside the hole here that's going to put a little bit more compression on the spring, because as we compress this spring more, the force that is holding these 2 pieces together is increased, which means that it's going to take even greater force to cause the spring to compress a bit more, allowing the teeth to slip. So what we're essentially trying to do with these flat washers is fit them inside the gap to give an extra like 1/16 of an inch compression on the spring, and that should give us quite a bit more give on the joints here. It'll actually make it so they don't slip as much. And the same thing happens for the lower part of the leg here, but as you can see, it's a slightly smaller peg. So the reason I said we're going to probably end up needing a Dremel here, and we're going to find out now if we need to do anything with the outer diameters, is because you kind of have a limited hole to work with. And the 1-inch diameter, we can make the 1-inch diameter work. We're going to have to push it all the way down ourselves, and it should just barely fit in there. But as this comes through, we have a much larger inner piece here, so we're going to have to Dremel the inside hole here until we can actually get it to fit over this peg, which is going to end up coming through the leg like that. So we're going to do that, and then the same thing is going to happen with these flat washers here for this bottom piece here. And once we get this done, that should actually make our side to side and our knee ratchet a lot better. The actual forward back motion of the legs is much more complicated, and we'll get to that right after we do this. So I'm going to go ahead and Dremel these out, and then I'll show you what we're supposed to do next. Alright, so to show you guys, here's our nylon spacer or washer before and then with the Dremel hole in it. It doesn't need to be perfectly round. Of the flat washer set, the rubber ones here, I took the second largest size that was in the package so I didn't have to mess with the outer diameter. So now what we're going to do here is going to be take our nylon washer and fit it in here, and it's going to be tight, but you should be able to push it all the way down in there by hand. And as you can see, we just basically made the spring sit up 1/16 of an inch higher as we put this back on top of it, and that is going to pretty greatly affect how it's pushing on this orange piece once we get that all back in. And for the rubber flat washers here, what we're going to do is take, if I can find the piece, we're going to take the and notably, as I wanted to point out, this is sized so that leg panel will still slide back through, and then you'll put, we'll put our spring on it like this, and then our orange piece will go on here. And really the easiest way to do this is to line it up with the top first and then put it down, otherwise it's going to spin around while you're trying to get the top piece on. But we'll worry about that in a second. I gotta find this other piece of his leg. Well, here it is. So now we've got this piece here, and as you can see, we've sized our flat washer here to fit on this inside peg, and you probably need your precision screwdriver, and you're just gonna push this all the way down like so, and then that'll allow us to put our spring back in, and then we'll be able to take this and kind of push that into position like so, and then we can put the top piece on like this. And I'm only going to do one side here so we can actually compare the legs here, and I'll do the other side myself because obviously it's rinse and repeat, so I don't really need to show it twice. And I'm stuck. This the thing I'm having problems with is the way this gray piece went on. I wasn't really accommodating for that when I was putting everything back together. So like I said, sometimes it's easier to get this all in position. You know, the orange has to be straight up and down, and then just kind of put it together this way, because you are going to have to push on your spring to make this all line back up. There we go. So everything's together. We can now secure this back together. I'm just going to do the main screw here, and I'll do the rest of them off camera. I just want to get everything kind of going back together at this point so you can see what you're supposed to do. So that takes care of that. We'll get the other two screws after. And then what we're going to do is come back to the other side here. Make sure that this is through. You may need to put something under it just to kind of hold it in position. Make sure that your gray piece is locked in on the top part here. Again, your orange piece has to go straight up and down. Put this like so. Just don't lose the gray piece's lock here. And this is hard to do when you're not on camera, let alone when you are on camera. But everything should fit back together, and you need to make sure that your, I guess I should show this before we do any of this other stuff. Basically, when you put this back together, the tabs of this orange piece are supposed to go into this box here, and also make sure that you have this little collar fastened on in, like so. And that's going to control the rotation of Metroplex's leg here. So we're going to do this. We'll try to hold it in place. Let's see if I can get this guy on in without struggling too much. Otherwise I'll have to take it off camera and do it real quick. And I'd rather not have to do that. It'd be nice if I could just get this all done while you guys are watching here. Alright, new plan of attack. So, we're going to do it like I said. We'll put the gray piece on first. Do this. And oh, what's the easiest way going to be to do this? We'll turn it. No, it's going to have to be done off camera. So, but you see how it goes back together. It's going to take a couple tries before you're actually going to get it on. It is big and bulky. So, let me get it on and we'll go from there. Alright, so now we've got this side here of Metroplex done. And just for comparison, there is the non-working side. There is the side we locked. It's still going to fall with enough force. Once that spring caves, it's pretty much going to keep going until you stop it. But you have a whole heck of a lot more, you know, in there than you do on the side that we didn't do anything to. For the knees here, see if we can demonstrate that. We got the knee on a fairly good pose. Let's do the other one. So as you can see, the side we haven't done anything to just kind of falls down. The side we did do is pretty solid. So that's going to fix that. But now we have the bigger task, which is to fix these awful leg joints that just kind of do this. So let's get on to this, because this is going to be much more complicated. Alright, so we're back to taking things apart. So what we're going to end up having to take off, we're definitely going to have to take these 4 screws out and take his crotch apart. And I think we have to take out the battery case and these 2 screws. I'm not sure if we have to go any further up on the bot, but I think these have to come off. And I'll show you why in a second. So let me take these off and we'll go from there. Alright, so when you take his crotch piece off here, you can see these orange pieces inside. And these are what actually, as we ratchet the leg, that's what moves inside. So we gotta find a way to put more tension on this spring inside. Now I don't know exactly what we're supposed to do. There's nothing to take this apart, so we're gonna have to take something at the top apart to get to this. I'm gonna start taking things apart and we'll see where it leads. Alright, so to get this out was not very pretty and pretty much involved taking off any screw in Metroplex that went vertical. I still can't get the body in 2 pieces. I'm not sure where I'm missing a screw, but it at least opened up enough that it allowed the bottom plate here to pop out like this. So we're going to have to be careful getting this all back in and together. But that brings us down to these feet part here. And there's really... So, the most important thing to making this stronger is understanding how it works. So, these orange pieces here kind of plug in to these holes. And as we turn, you can see that it separates and then it slips basically. So, putting anything here is not going to solve any problems. We need to get more tension on this spring that is pushing against here. So we're probably going to end up taking our other 2 flat washers, our nylon ones here, dremeling them out and putting them in. But these work differently. So what you're going to need to do is take this assembly off here. And this is basically, by unscrewing this, we're taking what holds this gray cap on in place off. Like so. And now what we have to do, and this is going to be way harder to do, is Dremel this really thin. In fact, where are those hose ones here? Let's see how this is going to affect the leg's ability to work. So here's my garden hose ones, and they are a little bit small. So let me Dremel this one out and I'll be right back. Alright, so these might be too thick, but we're going to find out. Again, make sure that your adapter will fit in here. And then we're going to try to force it all together. In fact, let's get the adapter ring over this piece here. And I may need a little bit more Dremeling on there, but we'll find out. Yeah, I'm going to need more Dremeling because you need this adapter piece to move freely on this peg. Alright, so now it's proper. We're going to take this, should all fit in, and we take our screw here and we put this back in, and we'll tighten it on up, and hopefully once this is tight, I'm hoping we're still going to be able to get enough movement out of this orange ring to make it work. So, we'll take this and let's find out, shall we? Oh, we ran into an unforeseen problem here. So the eraser is not going to work for this one because it pushes this too far forward. Unless we can, actually we can get some more on this. Let's try to tighten this some more. Alright, moment of truth. Can we still turn it? That's going to be too hard, so we don't want to break any teeth. So what we're going to want to do is either carve out our nylon washers to that same size, or we're going to want to shave off the top of this rubber hose washer. So I'm going to try to carve a nylon washer's hole out approximately that big, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so we got my nylon washer all carved out here. Again, it should fit right in that hole there. This is also a good time to notably say, make sure you have some safety glasses. I didn't say you needed that at the beginning, but I would hope you're all smart enough to figure that out, because you are shaving off little bits of plastic that if that flies and hits you in the eye, you're not going to see very well anymore. So I highly recommend some safety glasses. So let's take this, we'll fasten it as tight as we can again. And now, can we move his leg? Yes. Much more durable ratchet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to our second washer here, so we can do it on the other side, and we'll put this guy all back together, and we should have a pretty darn good Metroplex. Alright guys, so once you got your Metroplex back together, if you've done all the fixes and you've done it properly, he should be able to support his own weight like this. That's not to say that he's not going to flop. It's still a heavy toy, so vibration's still going to shake it down. But he is going to be way more sturdy and way more capable of keeping his knee from flopping all the way down. And yeah, so that's the big fix for Metroplex here. It's $5 in probably about 2 hours of your time if you're not careful, putting everything back, and everything will just be way more stiff. So I hope you guys enjoyed the fix. I hope it helps you guys out, and I guess I'll see you Friday.